Hi, this is Dave from the Floodwood School Wood Shop. And when we left last time, we were working on our nightstand. And I mentioned we put in our rabbits and our dados, cut our dados and our rabbit. And I mentioned that I forgot about putting in, we're gonna put a drawer in here, so we gotta add a couple more dados. So I cut 2 more spreaders. Out of the material, if you remember when we cut the sheet, I cut everything to length, so these are 19 inches. I had a chunk left over that was about 10 inches wide by 19, so I was easily able to rip 2 more at 3.5 inches by 19, so I know they're the exact same length as my bottom and my other 2 spreaders. And then I also cut a back. We should have cut this before, but I didn't have any 1/4 inch material here. I picked some up at the store yesterday, and so I ripped this at 19 inches as well. It's going to be the same distance, length, the same length as our spreaders and our bottom, and that'll go in the rabbit. And this is what's going to hold our nightstand square. We won't necessarily have to use a back, but we're going to. And all I have is they only had one side sanded at the store I went to for 1/4 inch plywood. So there's only one side of it that's sanded. The other side isn't sanded. So it doesn't look as nice. We can go and fill some of these voids, and we'll sand it and clean it up. It's not really that important because a nightstand typically is something that goes up against the wall. So the back side of that type of a cabinet, a dresser, a nightstand, anything like that, typically the back isn't a huge importance as far as appearance, but we're going to paint it all, so we will sand this, fill in any voids, clean it up, and make it so it does look nice. So today we're going to cut our 2 more dados, and I took measurements on a common nightstand, and it had the opening for the drawer 5.5 inches tall. So on our nightstand we have 1.5 inch rail that's going to go on the top, a 3-inch rail that's going to go on the bottom, and we're going to have 5.5 inches in between it. So we measure down 1.5 inches plus 5.5, that's 7 inches. 7 inches is going to be the top of our rail. Also it'll be the top of our spreader, but we're going to go 7 and a strong 7 inches. So we'll go 7 and a 32nd when we cut those dados. So I set my dado up, I've got it inside 7 and a strong 32nd. We'll cut those couple dados, and then we're ready to assemble. We'll put all 4 spreaders in, the bottom in, glue it together, and then we'll put the back on. We'll use the back to square it up because we have a square piece of 1/4 inch plywood. We made sure when I cut it that it's a square piece. This will fit in there nicely and hold the cabinet square, and we'll put a few pin nails in it or staples to hold this in place, and then our box will be assembled. So that's what we're going to do, is we're going to assemble the box of our nightstand. First I want to get my safety glasses. Now we just have to make sure every time we cut, we got to put the top up against the fence. And I remember last time I put a couple marks on here. I still have those marks on so I know where to stop, both directions. So we're pushing one through forward, and the other we're going to be careful, and we're going to bring it through backwards. So we'll go ahead and do that. We run that second one through. So now we have our 4 dados. We run that second one through backwards. We're going to stop the saw because I'm not able to grab with the whole board on the deck. I'm not able to grab it. We'll cut our next one. There's our 4 dados. So now we can start assembling our box. So we'll get some glue, some clamps, and we'll start setting up. Okay, we're all set to glue this up. And before we glue anything up, you want to make sure you got everything you need. So first of all, I obviously need our parts, need glue. I've got some clamps over there on the far side. I got a wet rag so we can wipe off any excess glue. Because we're painting these, it's going to be okay to wipe off the glue. If this was like something I was going to stain, I would probably wait, get it together, wait 3 to 10 minutes till the glue just starts to harden, and then I would take a paint scraper and scrape the paint off gently. And that will remove all the residue, and then after that I would wipe it off. So that way it doesn't leave any glue residue. But since it's being painted, it'll be easy enough just to wipe it off. We're not going to put too much excess in. We're only going to put a bead. We're going to lay a bead right inside the center of the dado on each of them. And then we're going to put our parts in. So hopefully we don't get a whole lot. I also have a stapler set up. This is what we're going to use to fasten our backs. I did take the sander and I sanded the back, the one side, the side that's going to be on the inside, so that way I don't have to worry about sanding it later. So that's all ready. So we'll start gluing this together. We'll glue each of these dados, put our bottom, our 4 spreaders in. Once that's done, we'll start assembling the top the same way. We're just going to put a nice bead in there. And when we put our board in, it'll spread out enough to hold. We don't want to have too much. Then just start putting our pieces in. And we're going to flush everything up. This is the front. So we're going to flush everything up with the front. Set it down in place. Tap it. I should have grabbed it. I didn't have a rubber mallet. I should have grabbed that. So I can tap it. Make that flush. And in the back, I'm flushing the spreader up with the rabbet itself. If you can see that, I make that flush with the rabbet, put both of those in. Set them in flush. And then we'll put our front 2 in. Same thing, we're putting those in front flush with the face. Then we have those in. Then we'll take our other side. We're going to lay the glue right in here. And we gotta be quick when we set it on because it's gonna start to drip. So we gotta be quick to get things lined up into the dados. Sure we got enough. And we're just gonna flip it on top, start lining them up here, and then let it drop down. Like I said, it'll start to run down if we're not quick enough. Pound it down, flush everything out. Just make sure everything is nice and flush. Front is good, spin it around, check her back, rivets, make those flush. Any glue we got running down, we'll wipe off quick. This one up here, you're not going to see that glue, it'll be inside a drawer opening, but anywhere else, you know, in this cavity here, you'll see that glue. So I want to make sure we wipe it off. We could put nails and everything, pin it together. We could do that. Same with the bottom. We could put nails across here. But I think we're going to be fine with just placing glue in there. And we'll nail our back on. So I'm going to flip it. Hold it together. Then I'm just going to take a small bead of glue and set it in the rabbet. Right in that inside corner. Just putting it just in the inside corner of the rabbet. And our back is only going to our bottom. So I'll put a bead across the bottom, across each of the spreaders. And we need to know where the spreaders are. So we have one, if we measure the center of the spreader, we have one at 7 3/8 and one at 3/4 of an inch. So we just need to remember that 3/4 and 7 3/8. Now we'll set our back on. Remember that the good side is facing in. Before you tip it down, line it up so you're not sliding it. And just let it drop into place. And you'll get one side flush. We'll put a staple in there. And we'll just flush it up along that side, putting in a few staples. We'll do the same thing over here. Get the bottom flush. That's holding our cabinet square. staples in there. Staple a few across the bottom, making sure the staple is going with the grain. Whoops, I missed that one. And then putting staples across, we were at 3/4 was the center. Just gonna hold my tape, center the stapler at 3/4. You just put a couple staples in, and then at 7 3/8. And that'll hold our back together. And just for some assurance, I brought a couple of clamps over. It's got some glue all over that clamp. We'll clamp the bottom. We'll put a clamp across our top. These clamps got some glue on them, so they're not opening and closing. Trying to keep your clamps parallel with the board you're clamping. If you start to run them at an angle, it could cause your cabinet to go out square on the clamp. So we'll just set one with the center spreader or drawer spreader as well. Snug them up. Like I said, the back ones are held together with our back. We'll take our rag and wipe off our glue. I don't know where I dropped it at. On the floor. We'll wipe off any excess glue that's on the inside for the back. There's just a little bit in the inside corner. We'll get that wiped off. Like I said, you could wait a couple minutes to do that and take a scraper and use a scraper to scrape the glue off. So it's not a crucial deal to do it right away. If it was, like I said, if this was going to be a stained cabinet, if it was oak or birch or something, you were going to stain it or put a clear finish, you'd want to wait to remove that glue until it does start to set up, and then scrape it off. Because the glue, when you stain it, the stain will not penetrate through the glue. But we're fine now, wiping it off. But here's our box. Like I said, it only took a few minutes to put together. We had all the parts cut. Everything was cut the same. These were all, our bottom, our 4 spreaders, and our back were all cut the same size, 19 inches. Everything fit together. We put our back on so that we made our rabbet a little bit larger, a little bit deeper, so we can sand that flush once we're all done. And the reason we had made it deeper is we didn't know, I didn't have a piece of 1/4 inch here. I didn't know if it was going to be exactly a 1/4 inch or not. So we made it just a 32nd more than a 1/4 inch. And our back was just, this material is just shy of a 1/4 inch. It's just shy of a quarter. So we've got a little bit of sanding that we'll have to do to make that all flush. But there is our box. We'll let that dry. If we let it dry for about 3-4 hours, we can take the clamps off. It'll be good to go. Like I said, we mounted the back on there. That holds our cabinet square. And we should be good. Next thing we'll do, now we'll cut our stiles. Remember, the stiles are your vertical pieces. They're going to go from the very top to the very bottom. They'll be 1.5 inches wide, 1.5 inches wide. And then your rails are going to go in between your stiles. You're going to have a rail here that's 1.5 inches wide for the top of the cabinet. One here, flush with the top of this board, about 1/32 higher than this spreader, will be another 1.5 inch rail. And then we have 1.5 inch or a 3-inch rail that's going to go across the bottom. And this one across the bottom, it's also going to be about 1/32 higher than this bottom. So we can cut all that stuff. That'll be the next thing we do. We'll cut them, pocket screw them together, make that frame. Once that frame is together, we can fasten it to this. And our overall, we can check our overall. We're supposed to be 20 inches wide. We're 20 inches wide, 20 inches wide, 20 inches wide. So we're the same all the way across. So we'll be able to make everything the same. We're going to use a poplar material for the frame because it's going to be painted. We're using the poplar. We rip our boards down, rip them, join them, and get it ready to cut to length. So that'll be our next project after this. So we have our box completely assembled. And this will be our nightstand. Once we get the face frame all on, we'll be ready to make a drawer. And once our drawer is made, we'll cut a top. And I said we'll probably cut our top because we don't, depending on what we have for material here, we might cut it just out of MDF with a drop edge around it. We might make a wood top. We'll see what we have to glue together. But this will be your nightstand, and then we'll finish it from there. Sand it and finish it from there. The nice part about not putting any holes in the side, whether we use trim screws or nails, is there's no holes to fill like we had to with our coffee tables. So that's it. Pretty simple. Thanks, guys.